The India Canada dispute has been in headlines recently. How do you see what challenges lie ahead for India? And I mean, how will it shape India's diplomatic relationship with the West?
Well, Indian population in Canada is one of the oldest Indian diaspora
Yes.
in the world.
Straight from the 19th century.
Yeah. So we have Indian diaspora in the Caribbeans, in Latin America, because indentured laborers were sent, and the Indian diaspora that was sent to Canada, because of the unique circumstances in which they were sent, they were also part of the Indian freedom movement. So there was a lot of radicals, a lot of, if I can say, revolutionaries who also traveled to Canada in those days. Just like, in my book, Nehru's First Recruits, I've talked about M.N. Roy, who traveled to Mexico. And he, at that time, he was also involved in arms smuggling from Indonesia in 1914 and 1915. So similarly, I'm just going back to Canada, we have to understand that they have their own traditions. They have their own history, and they hold certain values very dear to themselves. So if they have some strong opinions, today's, if whether it is on autonomy or the idea of Punjab or exactly. So we have to really understand why is it like that, and that has also become intense after the migration of a lot of people from Punjab, especially in the backdrop of the 1984 developments, especially the police action that followed after the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So we have to really look at that context.
Then again, you're suggesting we have to look at the human context.
Yes, human context, and a lot of dialogue has to happen, because I think everybody understands India is a hugely powerful nation state, and nobody is going to get away by just acting funny or by demanding this and demanding that. But the point is, we can build bridges of understanding. We can build bridges of communication instead of having all sorts of if I can use the word blunt action to deal with people,
or just to dismiss.
Dismiss someone. Because there are a lot of people among the Indian diaspora in the West who are willing to reason, who are willing to sit down and argue with you. So I would say that those sort of channels should be reopened, and there has to be more intense engagement and more intense dialogue with the people of Indian origin who have certain, perhaps, misgiving about the Indian state. And there is no reason to feel insecure, because India is hugely powerful. Everyone agrees to that. And so the only thing that India has to perhaps remember is that it should not overreact.
Sometimes I think this overreaction is not a sign of confidence, but some deep-seated insecurity.
It's also sometimes I feel bureaucratically driven, because at the end of the day, certain actions and certain decisions are left to the bureaucracy. These are political problems, and the more political leaders address it firsthand, the better it is. And it should be led by the people who are on top. Elected people, politically savvy people, they should be handling these issues, and these should not be dealt through, say, intelligence agencies and others alone. Yes, they also have a role to play, but that should be to support political leadership's healing hand policy, because these
Do
are...
you think that healing hand has been missing since last years?
Today, just look at this way, that if your embassy closes down for even a month, if your High Commission closes down for a month or two, the communities that suffer most are the elderly Indians who are settled in Canada, and many of them are former Indian government officers who receive pensions from the government of India. So imagine a 70-plus gentleman or a 70-plus lady, a former government of India employee, who is denied of her pension suddenly, because of something that he or she has not done. So the human suffering should not happen.
All this bogus roaring on social media in turn just affects our people.
Because it is basically we Indians.
We should accept that there are people.
Of course, there are people, and because they are diaspora, Indian diaspora, many of us have family members living in Canada, and when they go to the High Commission and they come back saying that, oh, I could not get this document today, I have to go there, and the person is a senior citizen, then we should be mindful of the fact that these sort of wranglings and these sort of social media decibel does not lead to public comfort on the ground.